Today I'm going to be talking about product market fit. Product market fit, I think that it's a really simple term, but it's very heavy. You have to really uncover it to understand like what it's really about. And I was very privileged when Monte Hub reached out to us to talk about this particular topic, which is really important for anybody, literally, like if you're an entrepreneur, if you're building a product, if you're even like a business person too, even if you're a student, there's some way you can be able to integrate product market fit to achieve better results for yourself. So today we're going to be diving into this simple yet a little complex topic. And if you see here, the tagline is building what people truly need. Because when you have good product market fit, it means that you've done something that meets the needs of other people, and then they in return give you some sort of value that could be monetary, or the kind of value that you were hoping to get in return. Now, I have this question that I would like you to just have at the back of your mind or try to answer by yourselves. The question is, will your users be disappointed if they stop using your products today? And products might not only mean that you have a product that you literally built. If you're a graphic designer, you offer a service. So you should just replace maybe products with that service. So the people that you offer your service to, would they be disappointed if you stopped working with them? Would they feel your gap, or would they just be like, they were like every other person, so let me just go ahead? So I'd like you to have this question at the back of your mind, as we go through this presentation. Now, what actually is product market fit? Now, according to Mark Andreessen, who is like a popular entrepreneur, he's the one who defined this term in like 2007 in his blog post. So he did not give like these exact words, but he was able to coin product market fit, which is abbreviated as PMF in this presentation. You see it a lot. And he says that it is being in a good market with a product that can satisfy that market. So if you look at this definition, you will see that there is good market, and then there is a product that satisfies that market. So if there's good market, it means that there's a possibility that there's also bad market. And as somebody building a product or offering a service, you need to be able to identify your good market to work with them. Because if you're in a bad market, even the best product will not excel, because that product is not meeting the needs of those people in that market. For you to understand that you have like a good product market fit, it means that you've built something that truly solves a real pain point, for your target customers. Now, I can imagine that before the wheelchair was created, people who were paralyzed or unable to walk found it hard to, get themselves around. But when the wheelchair came, it actually solved the problem for them. I mean, you could get yourself from point A to point B without needing assistance. And then when you look now at the usage of the wheelchair on a larger scale, when you're visiting a building, things like ramps, elevators help, disabled people to get around. That's like, for me, it's a good product market fit, because all of these products or all of these solutions are solving a problem for a good market. And the good market now could be people who are disabled, physically disabled with their legs. Now, a good product market fit is just beyond features. It's not just about what your product does, but it is how it fits into the user's lives. For example, every day you leave your house and you go to work, and you lock your door and you open the door, and you never notice anything until the day that maybe your door handle has fallen off, or it falls off, and then there's no way for you to open your door. That's when you will notice that this product is not a fit. Like it does not actually work well today. Like your door is not working just because of the handle. But whenever your handle is working and you're able to, lock your door and go outside, you never notice it, because that's like a good product market fit. It fits into the lives of the users without the users even knowing that, okay, this thing is there. Because they say good design does not make noise, bad design does. When something is bad, it stands out. But when it's good, it seamlessly integrates into your daily life or into the aspect of your life that you use it in. So, product market fit is literally designing a product that satisfies the target market. And in your case, since not all of us here are like entrepreneurs building things or well having products but offering services, in your case, it could be the service that you are offering. So you have like a good service market fit. That is in quotes. And now let's talk about why product market fit should be your absolute priority. Like why should you prioritize, having a product that will actually meet the needs of the people that you're working with or meet the needs of the target audience. Survival. Without product market fit, even a brilliant idea will struggle to gain traction and ultimately fail. Remember that we said product market fit is, you're building for a good market. Oh, looks like I've missed my slide. Okay. You're building for a good market, and then your problem or your product is meeting the needs of that market. So if you don't focus on product market fit, you'll be building for the wrong market, and then you will not even if your product is very good, your target audience will not enjoy it because you are not able to reach them. A good example is, let's say you're designing an app for women with breast cancer. This is just like, I don't know why I keep on talking about health. Maybe it's because I'm really interested in health these days. But you're building an app for women with breast cancer, and then the people that you keep advertising that app to is men, even though men have breast cancer, but let's say your target audience, your niche is women, and then you're advertising your app to men. Men will never appreciate it, and you will never really get the feedback that you need because you are struggling to survive in a bad market. So, survival is one of the reasons why product market fit is your absolute priority. You need to ensure that you are marketing your product to the right audience, or you're showing it to the good audience or the good market, so that your product is not struggling to survive. The second point is efficient resource allocation. It will help you to save money. It will help you to save development efforts on, features, or I don't know how to put it well, but it will help you to just save costs by not doing things that people don't want. Let's let me just stick to my current example. You're building an app for women, and then maybe the base of the app is for them to get on, to come log into your app and then be able to connect with other women who are also going through that same situation. Now there will be no need for you from the onset to introduce a marketplace into your app, because that's not the aim of your app. But if you show your app to the wrong audience, so people that you were not even building for, they can easily derail you from what you're supposed to do. Or you can even spend money on marketing. Now, if you are a business person and you've run ads before, you know that it is painful to run ads with like money and then it does not convert. But sometimes that happens, and there are many factors. And one of the factors could be you did not reach your target audience. Because if you reach your target audience, your money would have been put to good use. So if you prioritize product market fit by understanding your good market and then making sure that your product meets the need of that good market, you end up saving money for yourself. You cannot want to sell suits to high class people, because people who buy suits are people who work in corporate, and then you go to a market where people that live around there mostly buy thrifted clothes. You'll be wasting time, you'll be wasting money to rent a store, you'll be wasting resources. Or let's say you're a graphic designer and you want to design for big companies. You will not carry maybe your graphic design and then you're sharing it only in your local WhatsApp group. You find a way to put it on social media, run ads that target high profile people, and then hope that it converts. But you must make sure that your flyers are good. So it's like both ways. You have to get it on both ends. You have a good product, and then you reach out to the right market. Another reason why product market fit is your absolute priority is organic growth. When you have a good product market fit, you grow organically. Sometimes you don't even need to run ads. Sometimes you may not need to like spend money on marketing, because the people whose needs you're already meeting are informing other people about what you're doing. You realize that for the big designers, like graphic designers, since I'm using the example because some of you mentioned here that you're graphic designers, some people said they are data analysts or into data science, but you realize that people who are very good at what they do tend to get more clients. It is because they've had a good product market fit, and then they are able to now get organic growth. When you do good work for someone, the person goes and tells a friend that, okay, I work with this guy, he's really good, you should definitely work with him. And then the word keeps on spreading. And it also reduces customer acquisition costs. You're going to stop running ads at some point because the work will even be more than your capacity. So you might even have to start, outsourcing work because you've gotten so good and people are referring you naturally. Another reason why product market fit is an absolute priority is scaling. You cannot scale a bad product. Well, I think you can if you have a lot of money and time to waste, but that would just be foolish to scale a bad product. But if you achieve good product market fit, it can be easier for you to scale because scaling entails a lot of things, a lot of resources, and a lot of technical. A lot of things affect scaling actually. But if you've achieved a good product market fit, it is somewhat easy for you to scale and you will be confident with the scaling process. Let's say right now you're producing like skincare. I don't know, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm reaching, because some people here are students. I just want to reach like every audience. A student producing skincare products that work really well, that solve a particular rash, because as Africans we know of our black soap. The first time you make your first batch of product, it might not work out well. The people that you test it out on, it might not react well to them because maybe they don't even have the problem you're trying to solve. You cannot be creating soap for people who have ringworm and then you're selling it to people who don't have ringworm. It will obviously look good because it's not solving anything for them. But by the time you try it out on, let's say, 10 people who have ringworm and 8 people give you positive results, you know that, okay, there's an 80% chance that, okay, your product is doing well. And you test it now on a larger scale of numbers and you keep getting good results. You are able to invest more into that business to scale because you know that, okay, if I scale, there's a good product market fit. I'm not just scaling because I have, an idea of what it should look like. You have tested it, it has worked, you have a good product, and you have a good market that is responding positively to that product. Another reason that I've not listed here is like investor appeal. When you have a good product market fit, it's easier for people to invest in you. For example, this the soap business, if you're living with your friend and your friend sees that this thing people are buying, it's easier for them to say that, okay, take 50,000 francs and then reinvest into this business. Maybe at the end you get some revenue and then you can split anyhow. But that is trust that you've built, not just in customers, but also in an investor. So product market fit is really important for you to consider. Understand your product, make sure that it's good, and then find the good market because not every market is a good market. So how do you know when you found product market fit or when you've achieved it? Like that initial phase when you know that, okay, I'm doing something right, let me keep going in this direction. If you see here, I said follow the data because numbers don't really lie. Anybody who works with data knows that by the time you finish analyzing data, there is some truth, in that data. The first point here is organic growth and virality. Now, for those of us who use social media, we discover that people trend for both good and bad reasons. But the ones who are actually doing good and meeting the needs of their target audience end up trending positively for a while. Like it's a steady trend. You can easily find them. For example, if I'm looking to buy furniture for my house and I go on social media and I find somebody that really explains what I need, like it's as if they were in my head, I follow that person because I think that, okay, this person knows what I want, they know how I want it. I'm like, they are good market, and then they have the product, and then I keep on following them constantly. Just my engagement on their page constantly or consistently tells the algorithm to push their content to other people's pages because That's somewhat how the algorithm works. Engagement drives more engagement on the algorithm. So when you achieve good product market fit, there is organic growth, because people are telling others about your product without you having to tell them that, oh, go and tell this person that this is what I'm doing. No, you discover that when you get a good experience on a product, for example, a mobile application, you will easily tell your friend who is going through another problem, the same problem that needed a similar solution about it. They will not tell you on the app that, okay, after using this application to transfer money to another African country, please tell your friend to transfer. No, they will not do that kind of aggressive marketing. But automatically, you just see yourself telling your friends that, oh, you wanted to send money to Kenya, there's this app I've used, you should try it. And it has happened to me a lot recently. I will use a good product, and then I'm like, you need to try this product to my friends, even without them asking me, because I feel like when a product is good, it is worth telling other people about it without being prompted to market it. So that is how you know that you found product market fit. When other people are telling other people about, you're like, ah, I work with this girl. She knows her work very well. I've worked with this young man. He knows how to design well. You should just try him out. Referrals are just coming left and right. You even get overwhelmed by the job because people trust that you're going to deliver. The next point is high engagement and retention, which like circles back to this, the first point. Users will not just be like signing up to your app, they'll be using it frequently. Even if they get an error, they will even try to call you to find a way for you to rectify that error, rather than going to your competitor, because you were able to meet their need at the base. You were able to make sure that, okay, their first experience was a good one, because you never get like you never get two chances to make a first impression. The first impression is the first impression. And if you get it right that first time, it's easy for you to retain people if you can continue giving them the same experience. Another way you can know when you found it is when you have a low churn rate. Low churn rate, as in people hardly like leave you or unsubscribe from your service or abandon your product midway. When you are trying to send money, I keep saying trying to send money because I've tried to send money with many applications to different countries and it keeps leaving me hanging. So you're trying to send money through an application, and then midway you're like, this cannot go, this app is requiring for too many things, or their procedure is so lengthy, and then you just leave it midway. That is when you have a high churn rate. People are leaving your product halfway, or you offer people a service and then they just go. You send somebody your quote and they go and they never return. Well, that's not on you. Sometimes people cannot afford it. But if that keeps on happening to all of your clients, please check. It could be that your approach with them is not like the best. Another way you can know when you have achieved like a high, good PMF, product market fit, is when you have like high positive user feedback. If you here just big grammar, it just means like positive user feedback. When people express satisfaction, they tell you that, oh, like you did so well, just positive feedback. And the truth is, it also has an effect on us. When people compliment you on your work, you tend to deliver more. I believe that when you compliment people better, you appreciate their work, they deliver better. And this is what happens when you have achieved a good product market fit. It's just like, let's say Google, that helps us to search, even though AI has come as a big competitor. But when you open Google, you will keep on wanting to open Google just to search for things, to find out, look up websites, look up information. And you can have a good user feedback, because when you search on Google, it gives you like a ton of choices to select from. And then now you can start reviewing. So when you have like very good user feedback, then you know that you're doing something good. You're on the right track. Keep going. Another way you can know that you found it is when you have clear use cases. Like users find a way to do things on your application. If you create an application and then there's a particular feature that is maybe not like in the early stages of the user flow, for example, if you're sending money to people and then there is the last step of that process, if somebody reaches that last step, you know that they had endured all of the first steps, and then they're like, okay, how can I really do this with this app? How can I really use this application to achieve this particular need or to meet this particular need? That's when you know that people are actually using you've produced, or people are actually enjoying your product, and then they want to find a way to integrate it into their daily lives. Let's say, okay, you're a graphic designer now, you design a flyer for somebody, and then they come back to you and they're asking, okay, how can I use this graphic design to, make my business do better? Because I've heard that graphic design is really good. Apart from this flyer, what else can you do? When if your client does that one, just find a chill cook and then drink, and then before you start anxious, because you know that okay, you've surely done something good, and then they want to continue. So when you keep on getting clear use cases from people, they want to understand how they can use your service or your product to solve problems, or they even propose to you that I think that okay, this is how you can integrate this to help me do better. They are really interested in promoting what you're doing. Then you know that you're getting it right. And then finally, willingness to pay or invest time. If people are willing to pay for your product or service, know that you're doing something good. Especially in Africa, if you have like a software product or a digital product, if people are paying for it constantly, then you're doing something right, because people value the money. And more to that, people are scared of putting money online. So if somebody is able to pick up their phone, transfer their money from one platform to another just to access your product or service, then you're getting it right. Okay, all right. Oh, looks like that was an error. Now, on the contrary, there is also like negative, r- signs that your product is not there yet. Before we even move to this next slide, there are signs that your product is not there yet, and it is almost the opposite of the signs that I just spoke about. Like, when you found it, it's just literally the opposite. If people are leaving your product, if you're not even getting any sales, if you're not getting any organic growth, know that there's still work to be done. And this is how you can achieve product market fit. I have a few steps here that we'll just walk through. I made most of them as points because if we have to put all of the notes in the slides, it will be a textbook. But I would like that whenever you see a point, you should be able to associate it to maybe the explanation that I'll give. So if you have any questions still, just keep in your head, and then we're going to talk about it. Now, there is the discovery and validation phase. In design, we have the design thinking process where you empathize, you define, you ideate. So I'm a designer, so my thinking is more design inclined, but it's like the same framework for PMF, because you have to understand what you want to solve, and then you validate that problem. Now, one thing that I would like to advise us against is finding a solution and then looking for the problem to fit that solution into. You start from problem to solution, not the other way around. And seeing people like Emmanuel here and other young entrepreneurs, I'm sure you people have pitched in places where you're trying to, pitch to a group of investors to get some funding to build your product. And sometimes you're just pitching them a solution that you've not found a problem for. You're just forcing a problem, it's like you're forcing a pig. No, pigs eat anything. You're forcing a horse to eat meat. Like, it does not make sense. So you need to carry out user research and then understanding your market. So you need to do both qualitative and quantitative research. Now, for people who have done, business, the entrepreneurs here should understand some of this, or even the designers to UX designers. So qualitative research, as in you conduct user interviews, you get data from people that you may not really be able to put into numbers, but you can analyze, like you find common points, like common denominators. Like, you carry out an interview, you ask people questions, you can find out the responses that are similar among a particular group of people that probably you're trying to solve a problem for, or you're trying to release the product for. You also do things like empathy mapping, focus groups. There are multiple ways you can be able to understand your target market or your target user. You can also do quantitative research, which is analyzing market data, analyzing trends, competitor analysis, listing out what works for other people and what has not been working for your target audience. Because for you to be able to solve a problem for a particular set of people, you need to empathize with them. You need to understand what they are going through. Um, I heard of this trend that some NGOs do, that they have a particular day of the week where they try to behave like they are disabled, because that's for NGOs that meet the needs of disabled people. So if you're meeting the needs of a blind set of people, you they blindfold themselves, and then they try to understand how blind people, move around. They try to move around in their offices, but not to break things, obviously, but just to understand how people really feel in that condition. Because unless you've understood what somebody feels, you can never really design a product that will work for them. Or unless you try to put yourself in their shoes, which is what we call empathy, you can never really build a product that will work for them or solve their needs. So you define, okay, you identify a critical problem. So that's under all of this I've just talked about, is under deep user and market understanding. Then you identify your critical problem. Now, I would like to advise that when you identify a problem, identify one problem, and then you can move on to the next. Don't identify 5 problems you're trying to solve at once, because at that point in time, you don't really know what you're trying to fix. All you've just done is done research and identified your target audience. Like, okay, I want to design for women, women who are or breastfeeding mothers. Now you look at the common problems that they've been facing, because you interview like 10 mothers, and then maybe 8 of them or 7 of them have complained about one thing. You're like, okay, this looks like the main problem that I should focus on, rather than 5 problems that only maybe 2 mothers complained about, or 3 mothers. I'm not saying that those problems are not important, but it's always good to focus on like a single urgent pain point. You cannot solve everything. Even as a designer, let's say you start by focusing on one thing. You say, okay, let me become a graphic designer, and then let me solve graphic problems for clients. You don't start by becoming a graphic designer, a UX designer, a brand designer. You will not be able to meet the needs of all your clients. So you say you want to become a graphic designer for corporate entities, and then you focus on that. Down the line, you see that your client base is actually expanding because of the reasons that we mentioned above. You have organic growth, you have referrals, you have low churn rates, and all the other reasons. So after you've done your deep user and market understanding, you identify a critical problem. I mean critical, and then you focus on that problem. You validate it with the research that you carried out recently. So it's like a chain. You do research, you define your target audience, you find their common problem, and then you have validated that problem because of the research that you've done. And now, through that problem, you define your unique value proposition. How will you solve this problem? How you solve it, maybe faster, better, or cheaper than your competitors? And can you really explain what you are solving? Because sometimes you ask people that, okay, what are you actually doing? They would list 10 things that they are doing, but they've not said anything. So you should be able to articulate your unique value proposition clearly, and it should include how you intend to solve that particular problem. Now, something that I would like to really say that I've observed is that you must not necessarily be doing something out of the blue. It must not be some crazy innovation that will explode everybody. Truth is, innovation that explodes everybody may not really get a lot of positive reactions from people. You have to start slowly. As a UX designer, I always say that you find a way people are solving the existing problem, and then you find a way to digitize that solution that they've been doing like locally in their traditional manner, and then you can add some innovation. You will not see people clearing their houses with machetes, and then you wake up and you build a robot and you want to go and sell to them. No, maybe you can start small. You can tell them that, okay, when you clear with the machete, you can have some wrist pain after a while. This device can help you. Like, you're integrating it slowly, and then before you can get to like a big product,
About
you need to also validate this product to make sure that it actually works. So this is the discovery and validation phase. After this phase, you discover that, okay, you understand your market, you understand the problem you want to solve, and you can clearly explain that problem to the next person. Now, the second phase is the build and iterate phase. Now, okay, you can start thinking of how to, build a product with the smallest, they call it minimum viable product. It means that it should be the smallest set of features that deliver your unique value proposition. You want to build an app that helps, let's say, mothers who have children just to track their children's vitals, like their temperature, and then down the line, you're already selling baby items in your minimum value proposition. It does not make sense. You need to just show that the app works for that target audience and it does what it's supposed to do. It solves that particular need. Your MVP should not carry unnecessary features. I tell you, if you go with an MVP that just does what it's supposed to do, it will most likely get more attention from me than one MVP. In short, at this point, if your MVP does many things, it's no longer an MVP. It's a full blown product that is probably not even good, because the aim of an MVP is for you to identify areas for improvement and then quickly iterate. So you don't have a lot of code to be scrolling through, a lot of code bases or whatever that you've created to be scrolling through, to be making changes. You have a small set of things that you are working on, and you want to quickly deliver it into the hands of the users. Now, I'm not saying that you want to quickly launch your products by, shouting on social media. You want to have a set of users that are testing it, and you're constantly refining, because good products take time to get into the market. That's the truth. You will not hear that, oh, this product was good, I built it in 3 months and then it's working well. There will be some lapses along the way, but you need to take your time, test it and refine it. As a UX designer, the truth is, you will never really get it on the first try. You have to keep on iterating. Now, after you've built a minimum viable product, you implement analytics and feedback mechanisms. I said earlier, follow the data. Numbers don't lie. So if you're able to get numbers on where people leave your application, do they leave the application when they're still signing in or signing up, or do they leave the application just shortly after they've completed the reason why they were on the application, or do they leave the application in the middle of their action or trying to solve the problem that you created for them? You should be able to track all of that. And the truth is, there are tools for that. Now, as a graphic designer or somebody who is offering the service, do your clients leave the conversation when you just greet them? If many of the clients leave just after you send them a greeting, it means that you don't greet them well, or maybe you don't properly introduce yourself. If they don't get back to you after your first meeting, you need to start checking what you did wrong. If they don't get back to you after you sent your proposal, if that happens many times, you need to check what you did wrong. You need to get feedback. Sometimes literally reach out to people and find out why they do not want to work with you. And some people can be so kind or so blunt enough to tell you that this is why. So you need to implement analytics and feedback mechanisms. And then lastly, you have to rapidly iterate and experiment. The aim of the first versions of your product is not for you to land the biggest investors. It's for you to work on them until they get better. Even the first chair was not good. I'm sure if we see the first chair, we'll not even imagine that that person wanted to build a chair. But today we have multiple variations of chairs because somebody was able to fail and fail again and fail again. People who made the first inventions, they failed many times. But the good thing is we're learning from the mistakes of others. So we should also learn to fail and learn to iterate. So you fail and you learn. You fail forward. You fail, you learn, you iterate, you send it to the user tests until you get to that point where you know that it is it, which is what we define up like the different characteristics to know when you found good product market fit. All right, so I'm going to move on to some examples of product market fit. So you have bad examples, and then you also have good examples. So a bad example of a bad product that had bad product market fit is Google Glass. And Google Glass was like a reality eyewear that Google created. And from what I read, because I did not even know it at the time, looks like it came into the market in 2014. It left and then came again in 2019. So when it came into the market in 2014, it did not even stay for long because apparently it did not meet the user target audience. It was good, it was innovative, but people were like, nah, this is not it. It was supposed to be like, okay, Hansel, thank you. It was supposed to be like Google's, ideal AR smart glasses, but there were many things that were not that were not considered. There was privacy issues, there were issues of costs, there were also lack of compelling, like people did not see the use case, like the everyday use case. It's not unlike now when I think that AR and VR is back in the market, but it has its target audience, and the companies that produce this equipment understand how this target audience intend to use it. Nobody will be moving around with that thing on the streets because it literally blocks your vision, but you can only use it when it is necessary. Another example of a bad product market fit is called Quibi, and it was like a video application or video content for mobile, but there were other competitors that were free. This one required people to pay, but people were like, I can go and watch videos on TikTok, I can watch videos on YouTube. And at the time, TikTok just exploded. So the value proposition, it didn't outweigh the costs, and it made people fall back. So, and I think that there are more examples of bad product market fit, even in our communities. You come up with a product, the idea is so good, but realistically, people cannot either afford it, or it does not meet their need, or there is something wrong. So, to be able to achieve good PMF, you really need to nail it on all sides, and you start small. You don't start big. You don't try to solve global warming, like the entire global warming. There are many things that you can solve that lead to global warming. So you have to just start small, identify. It's like eating an elephant. You bite it small, 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 and then one day you realize that, oh, I've eaten an elephant. So some good examples now of product market fit are applications like Slack. So Slack was initially developed as an internal communication tool for a game company, but it worked so well within the company that they decided to focus on use it as a tool. They were like, okay, this thing can work very well for us. How about we expand this for other workplaces, for workplace communication? Yes. So these are products that people just started creating in their own companies, to solve their own problems. And then they're like, damn, this is so good. It can manage us well. How about we scale? And we spoke about scale earlier, that it's easier to scale when you have a good product market fit. So another example is Airbnb. Airbnb has its target audience at this point in time. It was Airbnb was struggling in the beginning, but they decided to focus on people who were traveling, tourists who like to travel and then are looking for places to stay that could be more affordable, and then you have more control over, as compared to like hotels that have strict rules. And now Airbnb is literally doing like really well with its own target audience. I noticed that, okay, I got interested in using Airbnb only when I wanted to travel, like going to another country, you need a place to stay. I find myself using Airbnb. Another example is Zoom. Even though Zoom's success was accelerated by the pandemic, their product market fit was built on providing like high quality, reliable, and easy to use video conferencing tool for businesses. Now, there are other video conferencing tools, but Zoom has been able to understand its own target audience, understands that, okay, when people join a meeting, they want to be able to change their names. I think that's one of the small features in Zoom that I really appreciate. When I join Zoom, I can change like how I want to be displayed. If you're in a very formal setting, you can put your name, put your company at the end if you want to be easily identified. Those are little changes that people incorporate into their products. And these people have existing competitors, like now we're on Google Meet, but Zoom is also doing well. So for you to achieve good product market fit does not necessarily mean that you have to be the only product in the market offering that particular thing. It will not even be good for you. You'll be burnt out. You will not be able to deliver to all of your target audience. But it is to identify what makes you special. It could be a very little feature. Like now we have multiple social media platforms. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have TikTok and YouTube for videos and other platforms. But these platforms constantly have users because they've been able to understand like their unique value proposition. Bet you, if you pick out like maybe one of the founders of Instagram or Facebook, or the people who run the companies now, they can easily tell you why people like to stay on the applications. Not just because they think that that is why, they have data that proves it. There are software applications that let you know where users click the most on your app, that lets you know when users leave your app. Like maybe it's just after they post a video they leave, or it's after they comment on a video that they leave. Like the bounce rates, there are many software tools that allow you to achieve this particular result. So these are a few examples of good product market fit. And I think that, let me talk about if some of my experiences with two Cameroonian applications that I believe are good product market fit. First application is switching. So for those of you who know switching, switching is just like your mobile call box. You can transfer credit to other numbers. You can even gift data bundles to them. You can do orange money to Momo. And they recently introduced a feature called prepaid. So prepaid funds just allows you to, like, I think, keep money in the app, so that when it is time for you to, if you want to withdraw or send money to somebody and network is disturbing, you will not face any network issues. You'll just transfer money from your wallet, your prepaid funds, not like your prepaid funds, to that person. And today, just today, I tried transferring money to somebody who had Orange Money from my MTN account. And the transfer took so long. Apparently, Orange Money was having issues. So I decided to give them cash. But I was scared that if I give cash, that money that I've sent, if it goes ahead, I would have paid this person twice because I might not see them again. So what I did was I went into the app, and they have an option for you to reverse a transaction that has not yet gone through if you discover that you made a mistake. So I reversed that transaction, the money came into my funds, and I paid that person cash. And it was such a relief because the amount of time that the app saved me today, it was amazing. And to me, that was like a good product market fit because it met my need at that particular point in time. And for the few friends I have that use switching, I think that they also see the convenience. Mind you, you can do everything, not everything that switching does, like almost everything that switching does through these USSD codes, like dialing *126. But that time it saves you, the convenience it gives, and then just, to me, it's simpler, makes my life easy. It has competitors, but it does the work and it satisfies its clients. The second example is PaySeeker, which is like a virtual card application. This is in no way advert for these companies, but I just want to share the like good work that Cameroon is doing in the technology space that I think that we should also acknowledge. So PaySeeker allows you to create virtual cards and pay for multiple things online. And I think this is like the best virtual card use provider I've used. They allow you to withdraw money into your PaySeeker application for free, like no charges. Even if it's 100,000, 500,000, you will not pay withdrawal charges into your basic application. And they charge you only 500 francs per every transaction. So it means that even if you're paying $1,000, they charge you 500 francs. You're paying $10, they charge you same amount. And they have a good user, like they give you good user feedback. If the service is down, they let you know before time that, oh, we'll be down tomorrow from this time to this time. You can reach out to us if it's really urgent. And it just makes my life easy. I can get a bank card and do all of my transactions. But convenience could be what separates you from the next person. So to be able to achieve a good product market fit, understand the people that you are solving the problem for, identify that critical problem you want to solve, build a product that solves that problem, test it back with the people that had the problem, and then you iterate and you can add like your small adjustments or Maggi and salts, like extras along the way when the base product is working.